When it comes to otome games, there can be a lot of variety. It can range from something typical like idols to something much darker like vampires, and it can even get wacky by having a plot that features the sole female student starring in a romantic comedy at an all-bird school, or a girl trying to court handsome and suave horseboys. On that note, nothing can be outlandish in the genre, and Code Realize, Guardian of Rebirth, teeters on that thin line between believability and the fantastical. The story takes place in a steampunk version of London's 19th century Victorian era and centers around Cardia Beckford, aka the best girl of all localized otome games ever. Although she looks like a calm and docile young woman, Cardia harbors a deadly poison in her body that kills anyone and anything she touches. One night, she is stolen away by gentleman thief Arsène Lupin, thus preventing the royal guards from capturing her, with Lupin promising to both help her find her missing father and have her live her life as an ordinary girl. Thus, the two set out on a journey and meet other famous fictional characters based on literature, as well as real-life historical figures. Code Realize, Guardian of Rebirth, released on the PS Vita on September 11, 2014 for the PS Vita in Japan under the name Code Realize Sousei no Himegimi. It was later localized and published by Axis Games a year later on October 20th, 2015 for the PS Vita in North America. It has also been ported to both the PS Vita, Nintendo Switch, and even Android and iOS, so you can literally play it anywhere if you've been itching to get your hands on it and still haven't. Seriously, what are you waiting for? Go buy it! Akin to many of the other otome games I've spoken about throughout the Problem series, Code Realize isn't any different in that it has a long common route. Unlike other otome games like Amnesia or Diabolic Lovers, you don't simply choose a character and hop on that route. In the game, after being whisked away by Lupin, Cardia meets the other boys throughout the common route that sets up each character's backstory, route, along with a little glimpse of their personalities. After spending so much time with each character, the player grows closer to each character in the game, with the last and true route of the game, Lupin's, being locked until you go through the other characters' collective routes, uncovering each piece of the puzzle. This is usually the part of the video where I diminish the anime adaptation for trying to shove everyone's routes in the anime by trying to give each boy a scene. But oddly enough, Code Realize is one of the rare occasions with an otome game anime adaptation that manages to both play it painfully safe and is somewhat successful in the story it's trying to tell. And you can actually tell by how it treats each of his characters throughout the series. While there isn't any true order to play the game in, each of the characters harbors something that contribute to the overall story. The 5 key characters and boys of the series are gentleman thief Arsène Lupin, former vampire hunter Abraham Van Helsing, wanted criminal and researcher Victor Frankenstein, engineer and inventor Impy Barbicane, and wealthy Count Saint Germain. While some characters' names are a no-brainer to who they are based on, they all share an influence with their based on persona, as well as a twist to make things a little more spicy. Arsène Lupin is a French gentleman thief and master of disguise based on writer Maurice Leblanc's various short stories. His wish is to find Cardia's genius research of a father and help extract the poison from her body so she can live her life as a normal girl. Van Helsing is based on a Dutch character from the 1887 gothic horror novel Dracula, although he differs a lot from his original counterpart. While his counterpart does have a goal to kill Dracula, Van Helsing is a former vampire hunter who wishes to kill Finis, a seemingly normal boy, because he forced him to massacre hundreds of vampires as a former soldier. Victor Frankenstein is based on an Italian-Swiss scientist who is the protagonist of an 1818 novel called Frankenstein. Like his original counterpart, they are both alchemists and interested in science. The fact that Victor is based upon him, a young man who brings a creature to life but is ultimately disgusted by his own creation, is pivotal to his own route. He is wanted by the British Empire for betraying them and is lauded as a terrorist throughout the common route. Impy Barbicane is a character based on a less-known book, From the Earth to the Moon. His character is the president of a society formed after the American Civil War that is working on a launch to the moon, which aligns with what the in-game character wishes to accomplish. He works as an inventor in this steampunk London and falls in love with Cardia at first sight. Lastly, Saint Germain is based on a real-life French adventurer born in 1691 or 1712. No one really knows this either, apparently. Named, I am going to butcher this name to hell, oh my goodness, Comte de Saint Germain. No one really knows anything about the real man, which is why the in-game Saint Germain also remains an enigma unless you venture through his route. Because come on, we all know shit is suspicious when a character has their eyes closed all the time. He's still hot though. One of the few disappointing things I can say about the anime adaptation is how a lot of the characters do not get as much screen time as they should, which happens to be inevitable because of how the anime adaptation is mostly composed of the common route. Surprise, surprise! The events of episodes 1 through 7 all take place within the common route of the game, while episodes 8 through 12 all take place in the supposed to have been locked Lupin route. But while this may seem all bad, it actually works out pretty well. Although the 4 other boys of the series are pushed aside in favor of Lupin, it manages to work out just fine because none of the other boys try and pursue Cardia in a romantic way. The only one who obviously does in the first place is Lupin, and Lupin only. Minus Impy, who just likes really flirting with Cardia.
カルディアちゃんやっぱ君ってば天使結婚してくれたらかけるのあった
Lupin saves Cardia from being captured, he always treats her nicer than anyone in the group, and he also acts as a confidant and her first friend. Actually, every time you do pick another boy other than Lupin, he's always slightly sad and both happy for Cardia for finding happiness. This doesn't happen for the other boys, which really shows that the game is trying to tell you that he's the canonical choice. Since Code Realize is such a long game, they save time by having Lupin take the front seat and having all the other boys not develop any romantic feelings towards Cardia, besides poor Impy, who is just always going to have an unrequited love for her. Although Code Realize doesn't repeat the dreaded mistakes of other otome game anime adaptations, it's all in all pretty hard to show appeal to every boy in the game. Thus, the most interesting characters turn out to be Lupin and Cardia, as, granted, they are the official couple. And to be quite honest, it handles the main plot points of the game, such as Cardia's true identity and her father's whereabouts, pretty well. While it leaves some loose ends, it closes off many questions that can be asked on a surface level. If you wish to learn more about the series, lore, or any of the other characters, you can basically play the game on any system. This gives the anime leeway, as both the lore and each character's backstory can't possibly fit in 12 episodes alone. In my opinion, Code Realize happens to touch upon the important aspects of the game, cut away some important fat, and rush its conclusion. However, I've got to give the series credit for following the original game script to a T, and at least having someone win in the end. I dare say it happens to reign on top as the best otome game adaptation so far. So, what's the problem this time? Not much really, and while you're in store for a relatively rushed ending that'll probably leave you scratching your head, at least you can access the game relatively easily and pick it up whenever you're ready to dive a bit deeper.
何を隠そう。この泥棒めの今夜の獲物は、お嬢さん、あなたなのです。